On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Lucille Ball, one of the most beloved figures in American entertainment, died of a ruptured abdominal aorta on April 26, 1989, at the age of 77. After undergoing heart surgery just a week earlier, Ball seemed to be recovering, but her sudden death shocked the public. Her passing was natural yet abrupt, a reminder of the fragility of life, even for icons. Ball's death came at a time when television had fully cemented itself as a dominant force in American culture, and she, as the star of I Love Lucy, had played a crucial role in shaping that medium. Ball's life reflected the challenges of women seeking power in a male-dominated industry. She broke barriers not only as a comedic actress, but also as a producer, co-founding Desilu Productions, a studio responsible for iconic shows like Star Trek and The Untouchables. In an era where female executives were rare, Ball's leadership signaled shifting cultural values around gender and professional authority. Her death, therefore, marked not just the loss of a performer, but the passing of a pioneer who had reshaped entertainment's very foundations. The immediate consequence of Ball's death was an outpouring of grief across the United States and beyond. Tributes flooded in from all corners of the entertainment industry, and millions mourned the loss of a woman who had, for decades, made them laugh. Although her passing did not shift the political or historical trajectory in a traditional sense, it amplified her legend. Ball's image, as the zany, lovable Lucy Ricardo, became even more crystallized in the cultural consciousness, ensuring that new generations would continue to discover her genius. Lucille Ball's legacy reveals humanity's deep yearning to preserve joy, resilience, and innovation through memory. We immortalize figures like her through constant reruns, biographical documentaries, statues, and scholarly analyses. Her face remains instantly recognizable, her comedic timing still studied by actors today. Ball's death reminds us that mortality does not extinguish influence. If anything, it sharpens the world's appreciation for the fleeting brilliance of human creativity. Through laughter, leadership, and legacy, Lucille Ball continues to occupy a cherished place in the story of American entertainment. Count Basie, the legendary jazz pianist, bandleader, and composer, died on April 26, 1984, at the age of 79. His death was attributed to pancreatic cancer, compounded by heart disease. Basie had struggled with health issues in his later years, but continued to perform, embodying the spirit of endurance and dedication that defined many artists of his era. His passing was peaceful, yet deeply symbolic. A quiet end for a man whose music had roared through the swinging decades of American jazz. Basie's life and death reflected the racial challenges and cultural transformations of 20th century America. Rising to fame during the Great Depression and Jim Crow era, Basie broke racial barriers by leading one of the first widely successful African-American big bands. His orchestra provided a soundtrack to the struggles and joys of Black America and later to the integrated stages of a slowly changing society. That he died in relative comfort and with widespread respect contrasted sharply with the hardships he had faced as a young musician, showcasing the slow progress of racial attitudes over his lifetime. The immediate consequences of Basie's death were heartfelt tributes from the music world. Major newspapers ran detailed obituaries, and fellow musicians hailed his unique ability to swing and lead with effortless cool. His death marked the end of an era for big band jazz, even as it cemented his role as a cornerstone of American music history. His influence continued to grow, inspiring countless musicians in jazz, pop, and beyond. Count Basie's death underscores humanity's enduring desire to celebrate those who shape cultural identity. We immortalize him through ongoing performances of his music, academic studies, and festivals bearing his name. Songs like April in Paris and 1 O'Clock Jump remain standards, a testament to his genius. Institutions like the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey, ensure that his contributions are remembered and honored. Basie's passing reminds us that mortality may end a life, but not a legacy. His swing continues to echo through time, illustrating how art allows individuals to transcend their era and become timeless symbols of creativity and resilience. Rodrik Crawford, the Academy Award-winning actor best known for his role in All the King's Men, died of a series of strokes on April 26, 1986, at the age of 74. His death was natural, but reflected a lifetime marked by personal struggles, including battles with alcoholism and health complications. In many ways, Crawford's decline mirrored the hard-living image of mid-20th century Hollywood, where fame often came hand in hand with personal demons. Crawford's era prized tough, gritty masculinity, and he embodied this archetype both on and off screen. His commanding presence and gravelly voice made him a natural fit for roles portraying authority figures, from corrupt politicians to stern lawmen. Yet behind the tough exterior was a man who faced deep personal vulnerabilities, reflecting the often hidden emotional costs of the American ideal of rugged individualism during the post-World War II period. His death, coming after years away from the limelight, highlighted the fleeting nature of celebrity, a stark contrast to the way media today endlessly preserves public figures in a state of youthful glory. The immediate consequences of Crawford's passing were relatively muted. While Hollywood paid tribute to his contributions, there was no great public mourning or wave of renewed interest in his films at the time. However, over the years, critical appreciation for his work, especially his Oscar-winning performance as the demagogic Willie Stark, has only deepened. His death in some ways allowed a reassessment of his legacy without the distractions of his off-screen troubles. Broderick Crawford's passing underscores humanity's complicated relationship with mortality and memory. We often immortalize figures not just for their personal triumphs, but also for how they symbolize broader societal values or anxieties. Crawford, with his portrayals of flawed power figures, tapped into mid-century America's fascination and growing skepticism toward authority. His legacy lives on through classic film retrospectives, Oscar histories, and the continued relevance of All the King's Men as a cautionary tale about political corruption. Ultimately, Crawford's death reminds us that legends are not merely preserved in their lifetimes, but are often recast in their absence, becoming reflections of both their time and our own. Maria Schell, the luminous Austrian-Swiss actress beloved for her emotionally rich performances, passed away naturally on April 26, 2005, at the age of 79, after suffering a long illness. Her death marked the quiet close of a career that had once captivated audiences across Europe and beyond. Unlike the dramatic deaths of political or revolutionary figures, Schell's passing reflected the quieter realities of aging and fading public spotlight in a modern media-driven era. In the mid-20th century, Maria Schell symbolized a deeply humanistic form of cinema. Her portrayals in films like The Last Bridge and Gervais emphasized vulnerability, compassion, and resilience, values that resonated with post-war Europe's desire for healing and rebuilding. Her gentle death mirrored a time when global culture was shifting, increasingly favoring fast-paced, blockbuster entertainment over the intimate, character-driven storytelling Schell embodied. The challenges of aging in an industry obsessed with youth and novelty also reflect broader societal values of the late 20th century, where once revered artists could quietly slip away from public consciousness. The immediate consequences of her death were most strongly felt in European film circles, where retrospectives celebrated her work. In the wider world, however, her passing was a more subdued event, not causing widespread mourning but prompting reflections among cinephiles and historians about the ephemeral nature of fame. Though her death did not dramatically shift the trajectory of history, it did spark a renewed appreciation for her contributions to humanist cinema, reinforcing her legend among those who value emotional depth in film. Maria Schell's death reveals humanity's complex relationship with memory and mortality. While some figures are enshrined through grand monuments or state funerals, others like Schell are immortalized in the quiet persistence of their work. Films that continue to move audiences long after the applause has faded. Through cinema, biographies, and tributes, Maria Schell remains a luminous figure, reminding us that emotional honesty and compassion are timeless. We honor figures like Schell, not just with awards or festivals, but through the continued resonance of their art. In doing so, we acknowledge that mortality, while inevitable, cannot extinguish the emotional truths great artists share with the world. Jane Meadows, celebrated actress, author, and television personality, passed away from natural causes on April 26, 2015, at the age of 95, in her Encino, California home. Her death reflected not only the inevitability of mortality, but also symbolized the end of an era, the twilight of the golden age of television, when elegance, wit, and intellect were hallmarks of public life. Meadows, who had a career spanning from 1940s Broadway to 1990s television, represented a generation of entertainers who valued versatility, poise, and long-term dedication to their craft. In an era increasingly dominated by fleeting celebrity and digital fame, Meadows' long and steady career stood as a contrast. She transitioned seamlessly between media, film, television, and stage, highlighting the mid-20th century emphasis on adaptability in entertainment. Her passing did not cause national upheaval, but prompted heartfelt tributes from industry peers who remembered her as a symbol of grace, humor, and professionalism. As the wife and frequent collaborator of comedian Steve Allen, Meadows also reflected the post-war American ideal of the supportive, yet independently accomplished woman. The immediate consequences of her death were largely commemorative. Media outlets honored her with retrospectives celebrating her pioneering work on early television shows such as I've Got a Secret and her Emmy-nominated performances. Her death didn't shift the course of history, but did serve as a reminder of the lasting impact of early television pioneers, those who shaped the medium into a central cultural force in American life. Jane Meadows' passing invites broader reflection on how society remembers figures who don't necessarily die dramatically, but leave a lasting cultural imprint through perseverance and charm. Her life and death reveal humanity's deep yearning to find meaning in longevity, artistry, and understated influence. Unlike figures enshrined by tragic deaths or political martyrdom, Meadows is immortalized through the enduring affection of audiences and her extensive body of work, captured in reruns, memoirs, and interviews. Through careful preservation of television history, film archives, and biographical works, we continue to honor artists like Jane Meadows. In doing so, we affirm that legacies can be built not just on headlines, but on decades of consistent excellence and quiet inspiration. Al Schmidt, the legendary recording engineer and producer, passed away of natural causes on April 26, 2021, at the age of 91. His death marked the end of an era in the music industry, a period that prized technical mastery, subtle artistry, and a devotion to sound quality that defined generations of recorded music. Schmidt's career spanned over 6 decades, during which he earned more Grammy Awards than any other engineer or mixer in history, a testament to his commitment to excellence. Schmidt's passing came at a time when the music industry was increasingly dominated by digital production and automation. His meticulous analog-centered approach, emphasizing warmth and authenticity, stood as a counterpoint to the increasingly synthetic textures of modern music. In this way, his death symbolized a broader cultural shift, away from craftsmanship cultivated over decades toward faster, more disposable modes of creation. The immediate aftermath of his passing saw a profound outpouring of tributes from the music community. Icons like Paul McCartney, Diana Krall, and Quincy Jones, artists whose careers had been touched by Schmidt's masterful work, expressed deep gratitude for his influence. While Schmidt's death didn't alter the direction of music history, it did trigger a renewed appreciation for the traditional skills and golden ear sensibility that he embodied. Schmidt's life and death reflect humanity's enduring admiration for mastery and patience in an increasingly accelerated world. His career reminds us that true excellence often lies in the invisible, the almost imperceptible adjustments that transform a good song into a transcendent experience. In a time when rapid innovation often overshadows craftsmanship, Schmidt's legacy serves as a poignant reminder of the timeless value of dedication and quiet brilliance. We immortalize Al Schmidt not just through awards or biographical tributes, but through the living recordings he engineered. Masterpieces like Frank Sinatra's Duets, Ray Charles's Genius Loves Company, and Steely Dan's Aja. Books like his memoir On the Record and documentaries such as The Art of Recording a Big Band further enshrine his contributions, ensuring that future generations will continue to learn from and be inspired by his artistry. Jacqueline Brooks, a distinguished actress and revered acting teacher, passed away from natural causes on April 26, 2013, at the age of 82. Her death, peaceful yet largely quiet in the media, reflected a profound reality of her time. Not all influential figures operated in the blinding spotlight. In an era increasingly dominated by celebrity culture, Brooks represented a commitment to craft over fame, artistry over public acclaim. Brooks built her reputation through decades of dedication to theater and education, gracing both Broadway and off-Broadway stages, and appearing in television roles such as in As the World Turns and Law and Order. Yet it was perhaps her work as a teacher at New York's Circle in the Square Theater School that shaped her enduring legacy. With her death, the acting world lost not just a performer, but a mentor to countless aspiring artists. The immediate consequence of her passing was felt most deeply within the theater and educational communities, where tributes spoke of her generosity, precision, and passion for truthful performance. Unlike the dramatic, violent deaths that often dominate historical memory, Brooks's quiet departure amplified the importance of lives lived in service to others' greatness. Her passing served as a reminder that cultural impact is not solely measured by fame, but by the depth of influence on those who continue the craft. In this way, her death strengthened her legend among actors and students, cementing her as a hidden pillar of American theater. Today, Jacqueline Brooks is immortalized through the memories of her students, the recordings of her performances, and the enduring techniques she passed down. Her story reflects humanity's yearning to honor not just those who dominate headlines, but those who shape history quietly from behind the curtain. Through dedication to craft, mentorship, and the subtle but powerful ripples they cause, figures like Brooks reveal a more intimate form of immortality, one built not on spectacle, but on authentic human connection. Jonathan Demme, the acclaimed American director behind masterpieces like The Silence of the Lambs and Philadelphia, passed away on April 26, 2017, at the age of 73, from complications related to esophageal cancer and heart disease. His death, though natural, reflected the inevitable intersection of creative brilliance with human fragility. In an era when bold, socially conscious filmmaking was resurging, Demme's passing marked the loss of a storyteller who consistently wove empathy, justice, and complex humanity into his work. The immediate aftermath of his death was a profound sense of loss across the film and music worlds. Tributes poured in from actors, musicians, and directors, all recognizing not just his technical mastery, but his deep kindness and collaborative spirit. Demme had built a legacy of championing marginalized voices, notably with Philadelphia, 1993, one of the first major Hollywood films to confront HIV/AIDS and homophobia head-on. His death amplified his legend, reminding the world of the urgent compassion and moral clarity his films embodied. Demme's career spanned decades of cultural evolution, and his work often mirrored the anxieties and aspirations of his times. In the 1990s, as America grappled with issues of identity, illness, and injustice, Demme's humane lens offered healing narratives. That his life ended during another era of cultural reckoning made his absence feel even more acute. He had always seen film not just as entertainment, but as a tool for empathy, a belief desperately needed in a world increasingly divided. Today, Jonathan Demme is immortalized through his films, which continue to inspire both audiences and new generations of filmmakers. His ability to mix intimate human stories with broader societal questions set a standard for storytelling that remains relevant. Festivals, retrospectives, and academic studies have celebrated his work, ensuring his voice endures. Demme's death highlights humanity's yearning to preserve those who illuminate difficult truths with grace and hope. Through art, we grant visionaries like him a form of immortality, allowing their insights to ripple across time. In remembering Jonathan Demme, we not only honor a filmmaker, but also reaffirm the enduring power of empathy, memory, and storytelling. Phoebe Snow, the soulful American singer-songwriter known for her unique voice and memorable hits like Poetry Man, passed away on April 26, 2011, at the age of 60, after a long battle with complications from a stroke. Her death, caused by natural health issues, marked the end of an era for a distinct voice in American music. Snow's passing reflected the fragile nature of creative vitality, particularly for an artist whose contributions were not always recognized by mainstream culture during her lifetime. In the immediate wake of her death, tributes from fellow musicians, fans, and media outlets poured in, remembering Snow for both her vocal brilliance and her deeply personal approach to songwriting. While she had seen significant commercial success in the 1970s, her later years were marked by financial struggles and health problems, which clouded the recognition she had once enjoyed. Her death renewed focus on her contributions, amplifying her legend as a jazz-pop hybrid who bridged generations and genres. Snow's tragic passing also highlighted the disparity between the acclaim she deserved and the often fleeting nature of fame in the entertainment industry. Phoebe Snow's legacy is tied to the era of singer-songwriters who reshaped American popular music in the 1970s, a time when music was deeply intertwined with cultural introspection. With her fusion of jazz, blues, and pop, she represented the emotional depth and experimental spirit of the time. Her most famous song, Poetry Man, with its haunting lyrics and understated melodies, reflected the introspective, often vulnerable self-expression that was emblematic of the era. Snow's life and work embodied the tensions between commercial success and artistic integrity that defined the challenges of her time. Today, Phoebe Snow is immortalized through the enduring popularity of her music. Re-releases of her albums, retrospectives, and performances by other artists continue to bring her voice to new audiences. Her contributions to the music world remind us of the often underappreciated artists whose influence remains significant, even after their deaths. Snow's passing brings into focus humanity's relationship with fame, memory, and mortality. Through music, art, and commemoration, we immortalize those who evoke deep emotions, ensuring their voices continue to resonate across generations. John Wilkes Booth, the infamous assassin of President Abraham Lincoln, met his death on April 26, 1865, in a Virginia barn after being cornered by Union soldiers following his assassination of Lincoln 3 weeks earlier. His death, violent and swift, came as a direct consequence of his actions. He was shot by Sergeant Boston Corbett, who had orders to capture him alive. Booth's demise reflected the turbulence of the post-Civil War era, a time when the United States was struggling to heal and redefine itself after the bloodiest conflict in its history. Booth's assassination of Lincoln on April 14, 1865, came at a critical moment in American history, just as the Civil War was winding down and the nation was beginning to rebuild. Booth, a Southern sympathizer who believed Lincoln was a tyrant, had hoped that by killing the president, he would ignite a resurgence of the Confederate cause. National Archives, 2015. Instead, his actions shocked the nation and only intensified the North's resolve to finish the work of Reconstruction and bring the South back into the Union under new terms. The immediate consequences of Booth's death were both symbolic and practical. The nation, already in mourning for its fallen president, now had to contend with the reality of Booth's martyrdom in the eyes of some Southern sympathizers. His death, while ensuring he would not face trial, did not quell the anger or division his assassination had exacerbated. Instead, it marked the final, violent chapter of a war that had already cost hundreds of thousands of lives and left deep scars on the national psyche. Booth's death did not amplify his legend in the way he had hoped, but rather cemented him as one of history's most infamous figures. His tragic and violent end mirrored the very conflict he had sought to prolong, a reflection of the polarized and contentious atmosphere of 19th century America. Through literature, theater, and historical commemoration, Booth remains an indelible part of American history. His assassination of Lincoln, and the violent end that followed, serves as a dark reminder of the lengths to which ideological extremism can lead. Booth's death reveals humanity's struggle with mortality, power, and the complexities of memory, how figures who challenge the course of history are often remembered as cautionary tales, immortalized through the very history they sought to alter.